want to kick off a welcome note?
No, you got this.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously all of us are in venture capital or tech startups, and I think one thing that Jake and I appreciate about like the culture we're building with Anti-Fund is it's actually being real authentic. And I think there's a lot of performativeness with Silicon Valley and venture capital. So we thought we'd kick off this session talking about hot takes on VC. What's the real inside stories behind what are good VCs, what are bullshit VCs, and have a fun conversation about that.
You guys should give feedback and comments and questions.
Yes. So maybe I'll just start off with, I mean, I think it's like decently well understood that 99% of VCs are useless. But I think then the question is like, what is useful VC? And I think that's like less discussed, less well understood. Maybe just from like a starting more serious or more professional, I think one of the realizations that Jake and I had with Anti-Fund was that for really the best founders, which are the only founders that matter, capital or money is commoditized. Like everyone's throwing money at the best founders. So then what is actually helpful? And one of the key theses behind Anti-Fund is that, well, attention, clout, access actually gets more valuable and more scarce for the very top founders. And I think we could run building that playbook. And it's something that I think is like a lot more nuanced, and I think will be more better understood as the venture capital game evolves. Curious if you have a take on that or...
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that it goes back to Elon buying Twitter. I think that this move that he did made all of his companies, way more valuable. And I think content is king. People need marketing to get their products out there. I think it's why, Sam and them are coming to people like my brother and myself to chat about their products and what will make them useful. And they have one of the biggest platforms in the world, but you need the users, and time is becoming more and more important. The founder of Netflix said they're competing with people's sleep. So they want people on their platform as long as possible. And I think, attention is becoming more and more valuable than money. And a lot of the big companies that are crushing it and raising all these rounds, you can only get a little check-in because everyone wants to be in, unless you're obviously like leading the round. So I think that's been our thesis with Anti-Fund, is like helping people on the attention side of things and marketing and bringing more eyeballs to these products. And I think that's why Brandon's hot take is
I'll have a few.
I feel like you should say it. But
I don't know what you're referring to. I don't say the one?
The celebrity with her.
Oh, yeah. All right, Lan knows I don't do this actually ever, so no tweets, no recording. I probably get canceled on this. I actually don't think this is a hot take. I think this is actually true. Like, a few things. One, what do VCs do? Like, if my mom asks me what do I do, I tell her I sell money for a living, which is like roughly true. So selling money is like kind of a commodity. So like, why do people take money from you? The reason is like they ideally hope that you increase their probability of success. That's kind of what VCs sell. They sell like brand and signal. And the comment Jake made is, if you take the like class or vintage of like athlete investors, which most people would quote unquote make fun of as not sophisticated, like that's like the stereotype. They have outperformed the average. Like Jake has crushed it, Saquon has crushed it. There are investors like Andrew, Ramp, and Cognition. This guy Omri Caspi, who played for the Golden State Warriors, who's now just Israeli VC, has crushed it. So I'll give credit to you guys, but the class of athletic, like of famous VCs, has way outperformed like the median Silicon Valley investor, which is probably not that hard to be fair. But yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yeah, I think Brendan, you're too kind for the quote-unquote celebrity funds, because I think with Anti-Fund, with Saquon, with Omri, those are like the best ones. I think the average celebrity investor is actually pretty dumb. I mean, I think Jake could probably like speak to a lot of celebrities and athletes that we've come to know and me. I think 90% of athletes and celebrities got there because they're good at art, making music, playing with the ball.
Oh, the VCs. You're good
Art,
at
music, and playing with the ball.
Lottos.
But I think so I think 90% of them are used to being handed free money is the underlying point. And I think what was interesting about like Jake and like the entrepreneurial celebrities is that, you know, Jake has stories of, you know, when he's like a teenager making his first brand deal and negotiating that. And I think that the top 1% of celebrities or athletes realize that there's a difference between rich and wealthy. I think that's like a common comparison, right? If you're well paid, that's very different from owning the thing. And I think as smarter people realize that being an owner is where there's true generational wealth, that's how you start parlaying into like these moves. So yes, I think our returns are just objectively better than the median VC, and I think pretty competitive with like the top VCs, but I think that's just the fact that we're like top 1 percentile in our little niche, just as like, you know, I would say that you're like top percentile in your niche, but we're also in like the same game and playing field. I think we're very complementary. So yeah, we're saying that, hey, you know, the average median celebrity VC I think is actually like probably equally as dumb as the median Silicon Valley VC.
I actually was curious, I just have a question, and I apologize if I'm asking something repetitive, but with the founding story, with the genesis of Anti Fund was how you came at why I start Anti Fund, like how
Yeah, Lan is asking about the genesis story of Anti-Fund. It really started off in 2021 when the world changed during the pandemic. So I'll let Jake tell his story of how he ended up in Miami, but I was sitting in San Francisco in January 21, and I think a lot of people know our mutual friend Zach Frankel just calls me. He's like, I have a penthouse suite at the W South Beach with an extra bedroom. Do you want to like come? And I was like, okay, I'll just book a flight up there. And it just like showed up, and it was like all the ramp guys and like a cool little house.
That's when the $1 billion ramp happened.
And I think that was also part of the reason why Anti-Fund came to existence. I saw, yeah, so Brandon's correct. I saw all the VCs and Wall Street people coming to this hotel room to kiss the ring. Or just like, what the fuck is, like, what's going on here? Because like the company started probably like, what, a couple years ago?
2019.
Yeah, a couple years ago. You know, I was lucky to be, I think my biggest startup clout was that I recommended Paribus to Y Combinator and got them into YC. And it's like on my little YC dashboard, like Paribus.
Which for anyone who doesn't know is the precursor to Ramp.
And obviously, you know, Ramp was, you know, they sold the company and they ran it back to run Ramp. But I think Jake has like a really interesting overlap story because we actually originally connected when Jake was an 18-year-old YouTuber creating one of the first content houses with Team 10. And Mark Pincus's family office connected us. And I remember having like a phone call with like an old phone number that Jake had talking about business. We didn't do business at the time, but I think looking back, we had a ton of mutual friends in common. And I think some of the more interesting lore was that Corey Levy, Z Fellows, was taking Jake around Silicon Valley when he was 18. So I think Jake has an argument to be like the original Z Fellow in some sense. But I think in 2021, I guess like a random piece of lore is that Lucy Guo and Chris Dixon's wife were throwing a party at manager Miles's house, which is Tygo's business partner with Palm Tree Crew. And we reconnect there, which is like a weird combination of like tech people and like entertainment people. And I think we just quickly hit it off, and Jake had 3 goals that year. I just remember this very, very clearly. You wanted to do the splits, which I don't think you can still do.
I didn't accomplish that goal.
he
But I
wanted
accomplished the other two.
he wanted to box 3 times that year, and I think Jake was at this like pivot point in his career, going from going off 1,000 days in a row, making YouTube vlogs, to becoming a professional boxer, and then starting a VC fund. And as Brandon was alluding to, just like, oh, like we should be scaling up investing, because like I just see ramp going from less than $1 billion to I saw the 1.1, 1.6248 happen in like a year. It's like, like we gotta just jam as much money into this thing as possible. And and I think one of the things that we realized is that could we join forces and make more impact? And we had like one of the first rolling funds on AngelList at the time. And
Are you still the top performer angel?
yeah, so I think a low key flex that like is that AngelList like ranked us the #1 fund on their platform. And how they rank it by is by 2 key metrics. The amount of write-ups, percentage write-ups in your portfolio, and the percentage of your portfolio that's ranked the top decile company. So like things like Anduril, or the things that like by their metrics are some of the fastest markups. Like we have a very high percentage of that. And across those 2 dimensions, we're like off the charts on that. And we have like the chief data scientists of like AngelList like signing a letter saying that. And they're like, you can't market it, but because like whatever, 'cause we don't want to promote you, I guess, too much. But you have receipts for that. And I think a lot of it takes a little bit of luck. I think we just like made money together quickly. And I think if you make money together, then you like build trust, you build teamwork, and you start compounding and scaling. And I think now we're heading to like our 5th year of investing and building business together, and it's scaling this up. I think partnering with Lux to build this summit, I think we really see that. I think something like this could be like a next generation of Sun Valley, right? Like I think there's like these iconic summits and gatherings of people. But I think they become overly corporatized. And can we actually have fun, build real experiences, and not have this like very over-industrialized version of like pillars? Like maybe Sequoia is actually shitty, just like how Sun Valley is shitty, and anti-fun and Lux will take over. There we go.
And not to give like advice, but I think this is relevant since people here are fairly young. I've known Jeff for 10 years. I think some of the best advice you can do is like be in business with your friends and people you're close to, because it's a way to stay in. And Zach and I talk about this too. It's just a way to keep relationships, and it's like you deal with people, you talk to them, and like things grow. And we've known each other for like literally 10, 11 years.
I'm curious, Jake, if you have like your perspective of the founding story of Anti-Fund.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we both just like shared that passion, and I mean the name kind of tells a story as well of just like no one doing it the right way and bringing. I think since day one, even before funds were more about like marketing and content and Twitter, stories and all that stuff, we wanted to talk about funds and the companies and all of these things and market and make content and shoot different things and tell our story, and also provide the value of marketing and bringing attention to some of the companies that we were invested in, and to make sort of a bridge between influencers and athletes and celebrities and the VC world. And I think we've done a good job of that with our incubations, like Better, and all the partnerships we have with athletes and celebrities on that side, but also with W. And so we shared that same vision of also a lot of VCs and investors being annoying, difficult to deal with, taking so much time to pull the trigger, and being wishy-washy and asking for investor updates all the time. And that's where all of the name sort of comes from. But we had so many mutual friends and both shared that vision, and really were a 1-2 punch with teaming up together. And like you said, we instantly got traction and started doing really well. And I guess here we are today, and expanding and doing summits like this now. So it's been an amazing ride, and I think the fact that we both share the passion of like wanting to be in the fields and talking to these founders who are building the future. To me, that's like one of the most exciting things, is getting to hear these stories and then see these people build, and being able to help them in any way possible is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's well said. Like when Brandon says that VCs sell capital, I think that's like most of it. But I think underlying the capital, I think what I've realized is that you're buying their access, you're buying their clout. Yeah, and I think the more I've been in this business, I've realized it's kind of like the Illuminati kind of does exist. Maybe it's not like, cutting off animal heads and
Whoa.
witchcraft. Maybe we're gonna do that stuff later this weekend. But it kind of is just like a super small network of people that taste-make everyone else, and it's actually like pretty easy to get in that club and not out of that club. Like I think people can fall in and out of favor pretty quickly. But it's like this loose group of people that like taste-make the entire industry, which I think the tech industry, the AI industry is like going to taste-make the rest of the world. So it's like really like a very small group of people kind of taste-make the entire world. So I think if I'm a founder, I'm looking for people to plug me into the Illuminati. It's like maybe like a more like direct way beyond the capital. That is very valuable.
I remember to call someone from the audience because I think they usually have spicy takes. So it's
I think the hottest take was Jeff saying that the Illuminati is real.
I think we've seen it, brother.
But actually, I do have a take. It's a bit of a niche take.
I like it.
Are you guys familiar with Arc-Array?
Arc-Array?
Yeah, Arc-Array. So it's this like journaling, like horoscope type app that recently went very viral. When this girl announced her fund, like her seed round, and I've been, if you guys don't know what this is, you should look it up. But just go to Arc-Array by this person named Nicole Hsing, and everyone on Twitter like absolutely dumped on it. It got like 10 million views or something, and it was the talk of the town for a bit. But I've actually been following it for probably like 9 months now. I'm actually incredibly bullish on it and her. So yeah, I think it's going to do pretty well, despite what everyone's hating on it.
Why? Like what? Why does everyone hate, and why do you think different?
Because what people don't really understand about the models is that the goal of them is to like augment your agency, and most assistants and models that you have now don't really like help you understand who you are at a deeper level. They kind of just like tell you things. And the issue is when you're a human and you're talking to a model, there's like some bias that whatever the model's saying is just true. And so it subtly influences you over time. Whereas the direction she's headed with her like journaling app or assistant, I mean, it's like a little bit off the rails right now, but I think eventually she'll figure it out. And it's much more focused around like prompting you to elucidate your thoughts more, such that you can get a deeper understanding of who you are. And so it's like this type of direction that's actually where these like LLM assistants and whatnot should be headed.
My hot take riffing off of that is, I think with ubiquitous AI, like the median human gets dumber and dumber. I already think like the average human's functionally kind of useless, which is a sad thing to say, but I think it's true. So when you have like white collar jobs, which are based on language and producing language, like large language models have essentially solved all those problems. I think blue collar work is actually harder to solve, right? Like you need humanoids, you need to navigate 3D environments. That's actually a technically more of a challenging problem. So I think my sense is that already half the kids have ChatGPT running their lives. Like they just ask every single decision to their favorite AI bot and have that AI tell them what to do. And what are large language models, right? Like they just statistically norm you down to like the median answer. So I think people have offloaded their thinking more and more, and like the decisions that the ChatGPT will give them is more and more statistically average. So what does that imply? It implies that you have to like try to not outsource your thinking more and more while the rest of the world is pressuring you to use AI to tell you what to do, right? Like the astrology app is probably gonna tell every single like energy crystal astrology girl who to date, like which book to read and which dress to wear, right? Like I think it's actually very comforting to have that crutch.
It's actually slightly different. The reason why I'm optimistic about it is because she's headed in the direction of making it like question who you are rather than like tell you who you are. And like this is the fundamental change that's required for models to like be positive for humans.
Yeah, I mean I think my point is orthogonal, which is that like I think astrology is like a very like fortune telling is a big market.
Yeah.
So I believe that you can have a better fortune telling astrology type product. I think my point is that like when I think about how do I keep myself competitive and smart in this world where a lot of human tasks get obviated, well it's like you have to actively try to like keep independent creative thought. Like you have to read things that other people aren't reading. Right? If our brains are some sort of large language model, we're training our brains on the same information and input as everyone else with the same outputs. So how do you actively get different inputs into your brain?
Yeah, this is why we're like sort of pretty bullish on sports as well, because it's real and you can't like automate it with AI. So like movies and all these things in entertainment are gonna just be automated, but the athlete has to train for years and years and years on end to do something phenomenal. And I think part of like AI social media and AI content, I don't know if it's going to resonate with the world because it's in our natural instincts and to appreciate something that's real and live, and I think because of that, sports and live things like streaming can definitely like continue to grow in a major way. But I don't know if people are gonna love watching an AI movie or an AI social media video of someone dancing, because you just know that it's not real instinctually. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I think it will evolve in years to come, but I think for the next couple of years it might be pretty difficult.
And you think owning a sports team would be one of the best investments?
Yeah, I think it goes back to authentic, like human stories. But I think the market's like gonna be exponentially big, meaning that if we're correct that more and more people become quote unquote useless, then they're just gonna be consuming, right? Like humans will be around, we're all humans, so we want more humans to exist. They'll just have to be consumers. So I think there's gonna be like infinite amount of content to be generated and created, and I think there'll be infinite demand for more and more content, which I think is good for both sports and AI generated content.
We're gonna start making our way over to the gym if you guys have to change or anything.